One office fragrance for life? Let's talk about that. Hey friends, John here from Proverbs 27:9 Fragrances. Today we're going to be doing a tag video from our buddy Tyler over at Simply Fragrances on choosing one office fragrance for the rest of your life. If you would go ahead and like the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel and that you got the notification bell on. That way you're notified every time we upload this sweet smelling fragrance related content. So when I watched Tyler's video the other day and saw that he had tagged me in it, when I kind of saw the title, I thought, well, that's kind of boring, picking one fragrance. But then I really thought about it and I was like, oh, wow, that's really difficult. And so I kind of got excited about, the thought of trying to pick only one fragrance for the rest of my life. If I'm going to choose one fragrance that I've got to keep out of my collection and out of, the possibility of fragrances out there in the world, what one fragrance would I keep to wear to the office forever? And I kind of started thinking about the, I guess the parameters or the different situations and, what would you be looking for in an office fragrance? Well, when we're talking about you're in an office and you're kind of in confined spaces, you're around other people, you need something that's clean. You need something that is a little fresh, I would say, more than something sweet and gourmand. You want something that is mass appealing, but inoffensive. You don't want something that's going to really stand out because, again, we're talking about an office-safe fragrance. So I was thinking about that and I thought, well, you could go with a nice, clean, just soapy fragrance, something from like Prada L'Homme, or Prada Amber Pour Homme, which I have. In fact, that's the box sitting right there for it. You could go with something just, mass appealing like Dior Sauvage, or even something like CK1 or something of that nature. There's a lot of different ways you could go. You could choose something that's a little more interesting, like Dior Homme, which is inoffensive and it doesn't stand out too much. You could go for something, really powdery, similar to that, Valentino Uomo, for instance, which I've got 2 versions sitting on the desk. There's a lot of different ways you could go. But for me, once I thought about it and I thought about everything I owned, I thought, if there was one fragrance that I wanted to smell for the rest of my life, I thought about Zaharoff's Signature Pour Homme. But then again, would it be something that I would fatigue from, and maybe others would? And, it's a really strong, great smelling fragrance, but might not be as mass appealing. And so when I thought about all the parameters of the freshness, the mass appealing nature, the inoffensiveness, but also interesting enough to keep me wanting to wear it over and over again, I narrowed it down to this one fragrance. This is a fragrance that is signature scent worthy. It is something that I feel like works in every season, in every situation. You can wear it if you got to go suit and tie at the office. You can wear it if it's casual Friday. The fragrance that I have chosen to be my be-all to end-all office scent, picking one forever, from the house of Giorgio Armani, Acqua di Gio Profumo. When I thought about everything that I've had and I've smelled, I thought about Tom Ford Gray Vetiver. I thought that would be a great one. It's one I've owned multiple times. It's a great office scent. Terre de Hermes. Again, nice, good, clean, with a little dirty edge. It's it's enough to keep me interested, but it also there was a lot of different fragrances. I thought about the original Aid and Bob. I thought about, again, niche fragrances that I've owned, and I was like, maybe Raja's Elysium or something like that. But when I got down to it and I thought, inoffensive, mass appealing, not going to offend anybody, but smells great. Everybody's, for the most part, we're talking about the law of large numbers. The majority of people are going to like it. This was the one I kept coming back to, It has that original Acqua di Gio DNA, which is the number one selling fragrance line of all time, and which is based on kind of a woody aquatic, musky scent profile. So it's great in the spring and the summer and in the early fall when it's, warm weather. But then this one, so daytime, but this one also has a little bit of an elegance to it. It's this black bottle was specific. There's that smokiness from the incense that is put in this one. There's that pop from the pepper that's put into this one. The addition of some additional woods. It's still clean and musky and semi-aquatic, but it's also got a little bit of a darkness to it, a little bit of a spice to it, without being overly spicy. It's not going to be something that's going to, kick off allergies and all that. Again, for the most part, we're saying. But it just absolutely smells fantastic. It smells great. It's my favorite one from the line. There's a scare that it might be discontinued. And then I've had other people reach out and say, it's not discontinued, don't say that or whatever. What I think is that we're seeing a supply chain line on all kinds of fragrances. So these fragrances are just having a hard time making it to the market here in the United States because for the most part, they all come from, Europe. But picking one fragrance for the office for my life, I'm going with Perfumo from Acqua di Gio. Now, with this being a tagged video, I'm going to tag, I think, 3 folks. So here's my 3 tags. Number 1, I'm going to tag the Fragtastic Mr. Fox, Chris Fox. I want to know what his one office fragrance for life would be. A lot of times me and Mr. Fox have very similar tastes. Sometimes he pulls something off the wall that's really unique. So I'm just interested in his opinion on that. I'm going to tag him. I'm going to tag someone who's not a fragrance reviewer. I'm going to tag my friend at Zaharoff, Mr. George Zaharoff. He is a hugely successful businessman, has not only built a clothing brand with his mother, but has now also built a fragrance brand. And I mentioned him earlier in the video and considered his original, not his original fragrance. He had a Zaharoff masculine and feminine fragrance back several years ago, but in his new line, the signature line, mentioned that fragrance. I would love to know what George would pick, from the fragrance world. What would be his one if he had to narrow everything in the world down? And I would love for it to be something that's not his own creation, but if it is his own creation, that's fine. If you could only pick one fragrance to wear to the office, what would George wear? And the other reviewer, I'm gonna reach out and tag a large reviewer, one of the largest in the world, I've talked to this man a few times, going back and forth. We've bought and sold fragrances from each other. So I'm going to tag Max Forte. He is the nose that knows and goes and goes. I mean, he is one of the, absolute legends in the frag com. And if I could get him to respond to a tag video, it would be epic for me. So I'm going to tag Max. It's a long shot. George may be a long shot too. Heck, I don't know. I don't have much of an influence. The Fragtastic Mr. Fox may be a reach. But I'm going to tag those three guys. I'd love to know what they think about this. I appreciate Tyler over at Simply Fragrances for tagging me here. Until we see you down the road, we say God bless. Frag on, Frag fam.